Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. I'm Anuki Kapasi, and this is episode 109 of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life, the show where I share life planning strategies so moms in STEM can feel more aligned and balanced. If you never really feel like your day is done, no matter how much you got through at work, how many loads of laundry folded at home, or how many bedtime stories you read to your kids, this episode is for you. As STEM-trained women, we're used to objective finish lines. The code compiles, the data are all recorded, the paper is submitted. You know where done lives. But at home, there are no clear benchmarks, no peer review process, no report to summarize all of the experiments. Instead, our dishes keep appearing in the sink, laundry keeps piling up, our inbox refills overnight, and there just is always one more thing that we could do for our kids, our partner, or yourself. Your to-do list just keeps growing. So today, I'm sharing a simple 4-part framework to define what done means in your mom life. So you can stop over-engineering every task, you can create closure at the end of the day, and still honor the high standards that you're used to. This is how you can still get the things that matter to you most done, but also find a way to end the task and confidently move on to whatever else you need to or want to do. If you're ready to experiment with a more sustainable way of doing things at home, one where you can stop overworking and find more balance in your life, then grab your favorite drink and let's dive in.
Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anoki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this journey to create the life you truly desire, it's time to rediscover your dreams and achieve your ambitious mom life.
Before we get started, I want to remind you that I would love to hear from you. This podcast is all about figuring things out together. So if you have a burning question about balancing your ambitions and motherhood, well, I'm here to help with our mini episodes where I answer your questions. Send me your questions through the links in the show notes, leave me a voice memo on our contact page, or email me directly at hello@solveformom.com. I promise to bring my experience, support, and evidence-based answers to help you navigate your ambitious mom life. All right, let's talk about this idea of being done. Because if you're anything like the moms that I work with, and honestly, like me as well, then done when you're doing things at home kind of feels fuzzy. There's always something else that you can optimize or tweak. And when you have a couple of minutes, instead of just using that time to relax, we have this natural tendency to just use it to improve something, right? Or to work on something else. And when you never feel done, you never feel off duty, then your brain doesn't get that rest, doesn't get to power down. And that's where exhaustion and guilt start to pile up. So in this episode, I want to do 3 things. I'm going to name what's really going on when you never feel done. Then I'm going to explain why this shows up so strongly for moms in STEM. And third, I'm going to walk you through a really simple 4-part framework where you can start establishing done to various projects and tasks at home, and you can actually implement this right away. So let's start with what this looks like in real life. And I really personally struggle with the concept of assigning the label done to a task and then moving on, especially at home. So I'm going to share some of the common signs that this is something you struggle with as well, and maybe you can recognize yourself in some of these examples. One sign is when your work spills over into your home life. And this is really common, especially if you're a work-at-home mom, because often we try to get our work done in the margins of our day. So for example, maybe you think you're just going to sit down and really quickly address a couple comments on a manuscript. But what you've done is essentially traded that time that you could have had with your family and your kids and your husband and put it towards tasks that should have been done during work time. You've also traded in your energy that was meant for tomorrow and used it for something that was maybe marginal gains because your level of productivity, maybe in the evening, working on work, isn't the same as if you could address these things in the middle of the day. Another sign is when you feel like there's always one more thing you can do. So you start a task and then you'll easily get pulled into a spiral of additional tasks. So this is pretty common for most of us, right? We think we're just going to do one thing. I'll just clear the table right now. And then that turns into what? Wiping down the counters and then reorganizing the spice rack and then, might as well throw a load of laundry, so that's working in the background. There's no obvious stopping point. And so basically, you just keep working until you start feeling really drained. A third sign is if you have a tendency to over-engineer even the simplest things. This is also where you put in an inordinate amount of time researching and planning rather than actually executing on that plan. And in all of these, the common thread is that you never decided what done was. You never took the time to set up the finish line, to put the signpost that says, hey, when you reach this point, you're done. You know, I'm a long distance runner and I used to run track. And so running a long distance race on the track, you run multiple laps, right? And so in any race, they always had these lap counters that would tell you how many laps you've completed. And then when you're on your last lap, they would ring a bell or have a special flag. And so obviously you're usually counting mentally as well, but when you're so exhausted, sometimes it's just so nice for somebody to be there and being like, hey, one more to go or half a lap to go. And it just clicks in your brain. And you know what happens? When I know that the finish line is almost there, I'm able to switch gears and put in that extra energy that gets me over that finish line. But when we don't take the time to mark done in advance, that's like just running on the track and keep going in circles without ever knowing which lap you can stop at. So there are a few reasons why this is especially intense for high-achieving moms in science, tech, and research. First, you were trained for these objective standards. So in your professional world, when we are talking about being done, it's usually something really measurable. The experiment has been completed. Your code has been all tested and cleared. There is this acceptance criteria that, hey, now that you've done this, you're done. But at home and in our mom lives, those type of criteria are not built in that way. There is no consensus standard on how to run a home smoothly or how to spend quality family time or how to organize a really good, fun kid's birthday party. Everything is subjective and relational and emotional. So that mismatch can be really disorienting for us. It's not in line with our skill set maybe and our training. The second thing is that in our professional world, perfectionism is actually rewarded. There's a clear benefit to having perfectionist tendencies. In STEM, being that person who catches tiny errors, who's detail-oriented, and produces polished work is valuable. When you are being thorough, that can be the difference between having a bug in your code or having a breakthrough in experimentally. It can be important for determining whether your manuscript is accepted or rejected. If you're in medicine, being a detail-oriented person or a perfectionist can save lives. But at home, applying these research-grade standards to every task isn't only unsustainable, it's kind of counterproductive. Folding your laundry with the same level of quality and polish that you might apply to presenting a poster, that's not really going to change your life outcome, right? You know, I catch myself on this. I spend quite a bit of time working with my kids on life skills. I have them help with lots of chores at home, including folding clothes. I really like having clothes folded and being able to stack them in a nice, neat pile. When my kids help me, obviously they don't have that level of skill. And so when they're gone, I find myself kind of refolding the clothes that they've done. And I have to catch myself and say, wait a sec, what am I accomplishing? This work is done. It's good enough. Why am I redoing it? What am I getting out of that? It's not really changing anything. It just happens because your brain doesn't always make that distinction that, hey, I'm working on something that doesn't require that level of quality. And then third, your time is valuable, right? You have so many things that you're juggling between your work demands and logistics with your family and kids and household responsibilities. So there's a finite amount of time on every given day, and time is a precious resource. So without having some sort of framework of prioritization and knowing when to stop, you're either going to overinvest in things that you don't actually need to put an A+ effort in, right? Or you might move on a little too late, wasting some time, and also at the risk of other things being left undone because you spent so much more time on a prior task than you needed to. Okay, and underneath all of that is a kind of conflict that you have with your identity. Like I said, you've spent so many years becoming excellent in your field, and you care about being a present and connected mom, that when the standards at home don't match the ones that you have at work, it can kind of feel like you're failing. Wait a sec. Being a mom is one of the most important jobs. Shouldn't I be putting 10 times more effort or quality into it? But the kind of quality that we're looking for in these two different environments are totally different. And I'm not talking about lowering your standards either, and I'll explain a little more about that in a bit. But the point is that we have this natural tendency to apply that professional level standard in all of our environments. And so at home, you just keep trying to do more, but that more never resolves anything. It just leads to exhaustion. And that's not the real issue. It's not that you have to do more. It's not that you have to try harder. It's actually that we haven't taken the time to define what suffices as done on tasks and projects at home. So before we move on to the framework, I do want to set up a little bit of a mental reframe. When you set done on things at home, it's actually a type of boundary that you set. You could even think of it as a time management tool. It's basically a line that you draw to protect your time, to protect your mental bandwidth, and really make room for parts of your life that don't actually come with deadlines, but rather that matter to you so deeply. Like you want to be able to connect at a deeper level, rest more fully, and also just pursue your own big ideas, things that add purpose and meaning to your life. I also want you to avoid viewing this as lowering your standards in some way, because you're saying something's done before the perfectionist side of you says it's actually done. What you're actually doing is reallocating this high gear of excellence to other places that truly need it. Right, I mentioned that I am a long-distance runner, and during our cross-country training, our coach would tell us what distance we had to run and also the percent effort that we should be running at. Because the point is that we can't run every single practice at 100%. 100% is what you would want to put into a race, but you can't run every practice session at 100%. And so, like in that example, it's not that we're lowering our quality. We're being really strategic with how we spend our energy. And the third reframe is to define done in terms of a state of progress, not a state of perfection, right? So the idea is that we're going to value progress and learning over a perfect outcome. So the way that this would look like is that we are saying when we reach a certain, whatever the marker for done is, then we're done. We're not shooting for maximizing every variable and figuring out the most optimized version of it. So what you can see from all of these reframes is that what I'm asking you to do is that you defining projects and tasks as done, that is a tool for you to align your energy with your priorities and to sort of release some of that guilt, just loosen up a bit and allow yourself to confidently move on to whatever the next phase of your day or activity is. So now it's time to make it practical. I'm going to be sharing that 4-part framework that I think you can experiment with this week. And really, you can use this on anything. Something as simple as packing lunches and preparing meals. And oh yes, you can definitely get perfectionist about lunches. But what I'm asking you to do is applying this framework to your routines, planning events, home projects, your own passion projects. And when you do this, you can start finding some balance. You're juggling all these things, But you can start pursuing your goals without sacrificing other parts of your life, because you're going to start being able to define done and reclaim your time and your energy and save those for your dreams and your ambitions, and not just for things that you feel are your duty or your obligations. This simple concept of knowing when to be done is really important for you to be able to excel professionally, but also be fully present as a mom and have your own space for you to grow and do all the other things that bring you joy. So the first step is to define the purpose of the task that you're undertaking. Before you even start, or even if you're mid-task and you're already working on it, just pause and ask yourself, what is the actual purpose of this task for this season in my life? Right? You're not writing a grant proposal here. There's not multiple thousands of dollars at stake here. You're maybe just making dinner. So what is the purpose of this particular task? Maybe it's to have a nutritious meal that you can present to your family, or that you're trying to create opportunities for connection with your kids at the end of the day, and dinner is sort of the medium by which that happens, right? Or maybe there's a secondary purpose where you can use the leftovers for tomorrow's lunch. So whatever it is, whatever the primary thing is, try to name it, say it, articulate it. Purpose of tonight's dinner is to feed everyone something reasonably healthy and to give us time to connect as a family. Okay? Something like that. And then that purpose that you name, that's going to be your standard, right? Not what you think you can post on Instagram and get people to like and comment to. No one cares if you serve the dinner out of the pots rather than having nice serving bowls, not for the purpose that you stated, which was to feed everyone nutritious meals and to connect over a meal. And please stop comparing yourself to what Nancy Smith next door's 5-course dinner looks like, because again, that wasn't the purpose of your dinner. So just remember, it's your life, your family, so it's going to be your values and your purpose. That's the standard. And if you're listening to this and thinking, well, I never feel finished at home and I'm always so exhausted. I want clear criteria for done so I can feel caught up enough to actually enjoy my family and pursue my own ideas. But I also don't know what my purpose is, what my core values are, or how these things can actually guide my day-to-day in a practical and productive way. Like in theory, I might know what they are, but how do I actually use that info? Well, that's exactly the kind of work that you get inside my Designed Life method. That's my life planning program, and we take tools like creating definition of done, and we take life planning tools like this framework, and then we zoom out into a bigger picture for your long-term vision, your career, your family priorities, and we build a customized roadmap that fits your real life, not somebody else's ideal schedule. And then this clear life plan ensures that you're not just managing your daily tasks better, but you're actually building the balanced, meaningful life that you truly want. So this isn't just some pipe dream. You can actually have all the things that you want and do all the things that you want. So if you want support like this to apply into your own world, you can book a free call with me at solveformom.com/book-life-planning. I'll even run an alignment audit on the first call so you can get a sense of whether life planning can help you achieve your ideal life. So I hope that you check out my program, click on the booking link. The link is also in the show notes, and I really look forward to talking to you and getting you that customized roadmap. Step 2 is to decide what your done criteria is, what that outcome looks like. And you want to do this ahead of time if you can. So you're going to translate the purpose that you just developed in step 1 into a really clear outcome. I just want to mention that creating your purpose in step 1 should really just take a minute or two, okay? It shouldn't take a long time. And same here, your idea of done can be developed in about a minute. What I mean by clear is saying something like, this task will be done when X, Y, and or Z are true. Okay, so your outcome doesn't have to be pretty, and it can be qualitative, right? It can be something like, I feel prepared enough, or we got a moment of real connection. It just has to be functional and aligned with your values. So in that example with the family dinner, the values were family connection and nourishment. So it doesn't have to be a pretty 5-course meal. By establishing what your criteria are, you're giving your brain this finished state to look forward to, and it can recognize your task as being complete. Some things to consider about what you're calling done is to really focus on the elements that truly mattered. If additional tweaks don't improve your life significantly on that task, then it's time to call it done. And here's a pro tip. Maybe tell someone what you're doing, because then you can avoid scope creep. In consulting projects, we always outline everything, including what the deliverable or the final product is going to look like, because it's really easy for clients to ask for more and more and more, and just things sometimes get theoretical when you're talking in terms of science, and you have to go back to the proposal and say, wait a sec, this is out of scope for this project. The problem with being out of scope is then you also get out of resources, out of time, out of money, right? And that happens in our personal lives too. So when you tell somebody else what you're doing, it activates a part of your brain, and it defines the task for yourself and for others. And it's a kind of a way for staying accountable. For example, sometimes my children will want to hang out with me, right? And I might be in the middle of something. So I might say something like, hold on, or just 10 more minutes. And I can tell that their patience is wearing thin, because in that scenario, there's no definite stop point. And so it's easy for me to go on and on and on with more and more things to do. But if I tell my kids what I'm doing, then sometimes they join me, or they have a visual. Oh, mom is busy right now because she's doing this, but as soon as she's done with that task, she's going to hang out with us. But if they ask me again and I'm like, oh, now I'm doing this, I need 10 more minutes, they'll be like, wait, you said you were going to be working on this other task. You're done with that task. It's time to come hang out with us now. You want to build in a sort of checkpoint that can serve as a milestone that tells you, hey, I'm done now. And sometimes it can even help to have intermediate points that help you assess your progress, that you're maybe made it halfway or 3/4 of the way. Basically, you want to trust your instincts, because your definition of done is basically when you feel that task is solid and functional, and that is enough. You just trust yourself that you made it to that done point and you're ready to move on. And the third step is to make sure that if there are any pending things to do for a particular task, that you have a way to plan for how those will get done, some sort of backup plan. And this is where a lot of STEM moms get stuck, because we really do like closure. But some tasks don't have a full and final done state. They are done because they're done for now. This can be if your done criteria is based on a time limit or based on a certain progress checkpoint. So if you still have some pending to-dos and you don't have a plan for getting those done, they're going to hang over your head and cause a little bit of stress and anxiety. Just know and plan for the fact that some tasks may not get done, and figure out how they're going to end up on your calendar or your workflow so that they can get done later. Finally, you need a simple ritual to signal to your brain, we're done here. This can be really tiny, like maybe turning off your kitchen lights and letting your family know that the kitchen is closed for tonight. That way there's no more expectations and no more obligations for you to go in and prepare whole meals again. This could be closing your laptop and saying out loud, work is over for today. Or crossing it off on your planner. Maybe putting your phone in another room so that you know that, hey, now is focus time with your family, not for you to get sucked into work emails and text threads. If you're familiar with Cal Newport's work, you'll recognize this as what he calls a shutdown routine. And the idea is the same. Your brain can now relax because it trusts that you've decided to stop. And if you've done the prior step 3, you know that you have a plan for all those pending tasks. So you can stop thinking about it. So for you as a mom in STEM, you can have shutdown rituals that are for you to protect your boundaries between the moments of transition in different phases of your day when you go from I could keep going instead into saying I'm going to choose to be done now. And this is my signal. This is my cue that I am done. So here's what we discovered about how to establish done in home tasks. When your definition of done feels blurry, then that's actually a hidden time management problem, and it quietly sabotages the balance that you're trying to create in your life, and it leaves you playing catch up and feeling exhausted. So if you're a high-achieving mom in STEM who never feels like your day is actually quite done, then you're going to find that 4-part framework that I shared today really helpful in creating closure without compromising your standards, so that you can stop overworking yourself and you can start experiencing some real balance and actually create space for rest, for being present with your kids, and for pursuing your big ideas. I want to give you one really small experiment to run. Tonight or the next time you're doing an everyday home task, something really simple, just pick one thing and walk through the entire framework. So for example, that is step 1, defining the purpose of the task. Step 2, defining what that done outcome looks like. 3, what to do with anything that is pending at your done point. And step 4, one new shutdown routine. I want you to run this experiment once and just notice how you feel when you sit down afterwards. Do you feel slightly more finished? Do you feel slightly less guilty that you let yourself stop that task and move on to the couch or work on something for yourself? These feelings and emotions, those are data points. So take note of them. Maybe journal about them. All right. Thank you guys for spending your time with me today. You don't have to choose between being perfect all the time and doing things, quote unquote, the easy way. You can find simple definitions of done as one tool to direct your excellence towards things that really need that level of perfectionism. And that's how you can go on and achieve your ambitious mom life.
I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other purpose-driven mamas about it. Who knows? You might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. I'll see you next week for another episode of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life with Anoki Kapasi.